to BCS Embrace Digital Tech Start. My name is Alvin. I'm the event coordinator lead here, and I'm thankful for you all attending this evening. Just to give you the brief rundown, in terms of health and safety, there is no fire alarm here today. If there is so, just where you see the 360 camera, there's a fire escape there. Just to introduce myself thoroughly, I'm a third year cybersecurity and digital forensics student, and I also help here part-time and within 2 other charities helping towards STEM between 14 to 25. Just to introduce Charlie. Charlie is the chair of BCS Embrace. He is also a founder, and him being a founder, he has a wealth of experience which he can also bring to the community. That's why he's able to bring us all here today. So without further ado, let me just introduce to you Charlie Fadden.
Thank you very much, everybody, for coming today. Really appreciate you. I know it's a Friday, and I understand what it means to give up your time on a Friday to turn up here today, to come and partake in today's seminar. We've got a great lineup of guests today and speakers, but before we get to them, I prepared a speech. While I was sitting around, I was thinking, do I go with what's been written or do I go from my heart? And I'm going to go hybrid. I'm going to blend it. So I'm prepared, but every so often I will take something from experience or from my journey or something that I'm aware about and plug that into it. So it may sometimes seem like I've gone on a new journey. I've only got 10 minutes, so you'll be sure that I won't go too far. So first and foremost, good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's event, which is Unlock Your Digital Tech Startup Potential. It's part of our journey to encourage businesses within the BCS, encourage startups, and encourage founders. The concept is to enable founders to connect and in a more relaxed environment where community plays a key part, education plays a key part in that journey. It's an honor to stand before you tonight as we begin this exciting event. Tonight is not just about learning, it's about discovery, connection, and most importantly, growth. I believe deeply, and anyone who's ever had a conversation with me will know that I believe there's a gift in each and every one of us. Anyone who's ever met me would testify to that. There is a talent of idea, a spark of creativity that we can grow and nurture within ourselves, just like a seed. And today, I will bounce between a seed, a plant, and the journey of a founder. That way, because it's the knowledge and the wisdom of time that as people have gone through. So I will give those parables and I will bounce between both. So do bear with me as I go on this journey with you. Seeds need the right environment, just like founders. Founders also require the right environment, the right resources. They need to be planted next to water, sunlight, consistent attention and care. Just like a business as well. It requires the community, the connections, the knowledge. And today, many of our speakers and trainers will share that with you. Let's think about that for a moment. What is a gift? What is that talent each and every one of us carry? It's unique to us. There's something, maybe through our previous experience, our background, who we know, where we studied, who our parents are, who our associations are. All that shapes who you are. And don't belittle that, irrespective of whatever journey you've come from, because that journey makes you a valuable person. You understand? It makes you unique. So don't ever wonder about what that other person has. Enjoy, celebrate your own talent, your own experience, your own journey, because that journey has shaped who you are. That journey that shaped you to be here and online, now, this, like every plan, and I'll give a quick story. So there's 4 quadrants I'm gonna share with you today. And this is one of those tandems I go on. Yeah? Just like a seed can be on the wayside of the road. A bird picks it up and it goes. It's had no value. So that's what procrastination could look like. I have this great idea. Oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. But you don't take action. It's like that seed planted on the side of the road and a bird picks up, swallows it and goes. Nothing happens. There will be some founders today, right now, there'll be some founders who've got such a great idea, but they're not enrooted in the right environment to nourish that. Just like a farmer that plants a seed in a rocky ground. When you plant a seed in a rocky ground, it may sprout a little bit, but because there's no way for that root to embed itself, it doesn't bear fruit. Some founders as well, they'll start an idea, a journey, but because they haven't got the right places around them, the right people, the right environment where they can nurture that business, it becomes a fad. And we've seen many. Who here knows the percentage of failed businesses in the UK? Anyone hazard a guess? Higher. Much higher.
86.
Higher.
90.
Yeah, around that area.
Everything has failed.
A lot of startups fail. A lot of startups fail. Go and check it. Type into Google. You all have Google. Type it. A lot of startups fail. So if you're in business right now, and I'm not trying to scare no one right now, faith over fear. You understand? A lot of businesses fail, but you can succeed. You just have to plant yourself in the right place. Yeah? Let's come back to there's still 2 more parts to that, but let's come back to my prepared speech. It talks about the environment, so I've got to go back to it again. Right, like a farmer again, some seeds are planted and they sprout. However, there's thorns around them, and this is old wisdom. This is not new wisdom. Every farmer, they'll tell you about this. Scholars, they'll tell you about this. So some seeds are planted on the ground, but the thorns pressure them so they don't get the chance to grow. They don't get the chance to grow. So they're pressure. So what's those pressure? It could be your competitors. It could be you yourself could be the problem or the challenge, because you got so much you're going through. So much is going on in your mindset that you can't deal with that, and you don't give that business so you can't nurture that business to grow. And the last quadrant is the fertile ground, where that seed is planted and it bears 30, 60, or even 100 folds. That could be you in your business by being in the right environment, having the right, if you go to the plant, having the right soil, the right nurturing, the plants, the sun, and everything else. Being here gives you the opportunity to have the education, the wisdom of the speakers, and You don't have to take everything the speakers are saying today. You don't have to take everything in. Just take one that you can run with and take action. Yeah? All right. All right. As you all know, we're very fortunate today to have a lineup of incredible speakers and trainers this evening. People who have nurtured their own gifts and are thriving in their fields. They've weathered the storms, gone through the challenges, and they're here today to share their journey with you. When you listen to them, yeah, remember, this wisdom they're sharing with you today, this is over time. This is their journey. This is time it's taken to get to this particular place. It didn't happen overnight, and I'm privileged to know many of these speakers and trainers today, and I know the journey. It involves learning, experimenting, and you know what, sometimes failing. A plant doesn't just grow overnight and bear fruits. So don't get frustrated if it doesn't happen straight away. There is success, and this is another thing people hear about from me. There is success in the journey and at the destination. For any of us who's gone and achieved the goal, when you reach your destination, how have you felt? For some people, there's a euphoria immediately. 3 months, 6 months, and whatever, and there's an itch to do something else. So don't just get fixated on destination alone. Enjoy the journey, enjoy the people you meet on the journey. Enjoy the friendship, the camaraderie, the learnings, the wisdom, the experience that you gain from there. It makes it all worthwhile. Be persistent. Make sure you have the right support and the right environment that encourages your growth. Allow your gift to blossom. So, as we move throughout the evening, I said earlier on, take one thing, at least one thing. You may not be able to run with everything they have, because this is years of wisdom, years of experience they're sharing with you, years of journeys they're sharing with you. But take one thing and run with that one thing and see what happens. And come and give testimonials at the next time and say, oh, I heard Mr. or I heard Miss or Mrs. something say something, and I took that and I ran with it. And this is how it's changed my journey. There will be time for questions. There will be time to have fun. There's an experience. As I said, it's a lounge experience for founders. So you learn, you connect. Connection happens slightly different. Where you're relaxed, then you can connect and have that meaningful conversation. So tonight, I want to leave you with your thoughts. Your gift is not just for you. Let me let that swirl in your mind. Your gift is not just for you. Share it with the world. Tonight, unlock your potential. You're in the right environment. Thank you very much all for being here tonight. And I look forward to seeing and hearing about your success as we go on this journey together. Thank you very much. I'll pass you back to Al.
Just to talk to you about BCS Foundation and BCS as a whole, let me just introduce you to Nzubi Mfodeke, who is the chair of the BCS Foundation, a newly formed part of the BCS in order to help those within education between 16 to around 20 to help gain the coaching and the mentorship needed in order to gain the IT for good. So a round of applause for Nizube for the group.
Thank you, Alvin. Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm not sure if you can hear me online. I'll stand here and try to project so you can all hear. So thank you, Alvin. I'm Unzube Ufodike, the outgoing chair of BCS Embrace, and I also chair the BCS Foundation, which was started last year. Just to give some context, because I know not everyone here is aware of the BCS or its history, but before I make that assumption, show of hands, who here is a BCS member or is already aware of the BCS? Okay, less than 50%, roughly. So I'll share a little bit more about the BCS and bear with for those that already know about us. So BCS, we began in 1957. We are the Chartered Institute for IT Professionals here in the UK. We have 70,000 members spread across 150 countries. We got a royal charter as well in 1984, and the Duke of Kent is our patron. In terms of what we do, we focus on 4 pillars. We have the pillar that focuses on membership, encouraging more membership and connection within the professionals in the industry. We look at inspiration, getting individuals that are within the sector to develop and to help society become better. There's progression in terms of looking at ways to make sure we're not just progressing in our own fields, but taking the rest of the community along when it comes to thinking of making IT good for society, which, by the way, is our tagline, and influence. So we tackle big issues facing our digital lives, not just for those that are in the industry, but for pretty much the rest of society. As we know, everyone's affected by IT. With respect to things like AI bias and other things that get into the headlines, we work behind the scenes. We lobby for change. I was part of a group that contributed to the Office for AI when they were creating policy for the UK's strategic position with respect to AI. Also had the privilege of starting the BCS Embrace Special Interest Group, which I think Charlie mentioned a little at the beginning, but I'll just highlight again. As a tagline, the BCS Embrace as an organization encourages its members to do things to, like I said, make society better. The volunteers take up the charge to create groups like Embrace, the Women's Group, the London Central Group, and several other groups that would be either focused on a geography, a sector, or a theme. These are volunteer-led groups that then run events, participate in activities within and without the BCS in order to, again, continue to make IT better for society. When George Floyd was killed in 2020, at the time I was the vice chair of the London Central branch, and I thought about, okay, what can I do within the spaces I occupy that can help make society better? So this, as one of the institutions that I'd been a privileged member of for a while, I thought, hey, let's create a special interest group that focuses on race and ethnicity in the IT sector. Up until then, we didn't actually have any at the BCS, which is surprising. But we've caught up. We've done some work with Color in Tech. We've done some work with several other organizations that have been intentional about placing race and ethnicity at the center of development. On the back of the work we did as BCS Embrace, we have educated we've given scholarships and programs to dozens of individuals, supported their progression into the IT career, and we've also inspired the birth of the BCS Foundation, which is why I am here. So I'm the founding chair or the inaugural chair rather, of the BCS Foundation. It's a sister charity to the BCS organization. And within the BCS Foundation, our flagship program, My Digital Futures, was actually spawned from the work that Embrace was doing with Embrace New Talent and helping get people into programs. So under the BCS Foundation, we run a few programs for underrepresented communities, and helping them to start their careers in IT. And these can be simple things like giving them laptops, helping to cover travel to training, paying for courses for them to take. And it's a 2-year program within the foundation. We've got 64 students in the current cohort. And some of our alumni from a previous mentoring program that we've assumed are doing fantastic things, like working in large multinational organizations. So it's one of those things that we're really proud of. And if you want to learn anything about it or how to engage, please speak to me after this event. Dr. Elsa Zakeng, who isn't here today, is also one of the BCS Embrace committee members. She is a founder herself, used to run a program up in Manchester focused on representation in technology. She's currently running a health tech data company here in London, and she leads the inclusion strand within the BCS Embrace group. If she were here, she'd probably share more about how, when we think about inclusion, we have to widen the scope of the definition of inclusion, looking at neurodiversity, looking at socioeconomic barriers to access, and so on and so forth. What I just want to end on is I guess, picking up on what Charlie said about your gift is not just for you, right? When it comes to most of us that have gained a degree of experience, network access within our own careers, it's worth remembering to send the ladder back down, because quite a few people have not even gotten to the first rung of the ladder, right? So it's thinking about ways to engage, either through other organizations, other institutions, giving access through to your work networks, giving capital to charities that are developing talent. Because without full participation, it's going to be hard for us to have a fully engaged community. And technology at its core is something that can be very, very, it can change someone's trajectory phenomenally. If one has the skills, the talent, they can go from wherever they are to where they need to be. So that's diversity in IT for good. I'm going to pause for a couple of questions if there are any. I can't see if people are chatting online. If there are questions online, I could take them. If not, then I can hand back to Alvin, who would run you through the next conversation for today. Oh, I didn't even introduce myself properly at the beginning. So I'm Unzube Fodike. I work in the venture capital space. So I'm an investor, an advisor, and I sit on a couple of boards. My companies are mostly in the UK, but I also support companies in emerging markets. I've got about 9 active companies in my portfolio of 12 companies I've invested in. I'll say the aggregate valuation of my portfolio companies is probably just north of £150 million. And I've worked with several accelerators, incubators. I used to be investment manager for a corporate venture capital fund, where we supported over 300 companies in the mostly UK, but also with a global footprint. And started as a computer scientist, actually. I was trained as a computer scientist for my first and second degrees before moving over to work in finance at Credit Suisse First Boston, Janus Henderson Global Investors, and PIMCO, and then moved on to the venture capital or the alternatives market. So that's me in 2 minutes. Are there any questions, or do I hand back to Alvin? Cool. Well, thank you so much.
Now, just to hear from a founder himself about his journey as a founder within several businesses. So his name is Philip Leach. Beautiful picture, isn't it? Philip Leach is a proud father of 2 and founder of multiple successful businesses. With 15 years of experience as an entrepreneur, he has won recognition as an award-winning deal maker. He knows what it takes to build and grow a business, combining strategic insight and hands-on leadership. Known for his business acumen and his passion for innovation, he is dedicated to helping others achieve their goals. Besides being a founder, he is also a dad of 3 kids and loves enjoying his time with them. Round of applause for Philip Leach, please.
Thank you very much, Alvin. I was thinking so much about what I was going to say tonight. I embarked on the journey this morning, and running a business, starting a business is like everyday life, you know. You get everyday challenges thrown at you. It's how you manage to navigate through these challenges. Depends, well, make sure that you're successful or not, you know what I mean? I set off out of the house at 5:30 this morning, headed up, parked the car, jumped in the subway, over to get the train, got on the train at 7:30 this morning, and we couldn't even get out of Scotland by 11:30. So 4 trains later, I eventually got here, but that's the main thing. Yeah, so starting a business can be quite a daunting thing, you know, because you've got to think how you're going to buy products to sell to people, how you're going to market that product, how you're going to get recognised, build the awareness. So there's so many different facets of the business, and depending on what kind of business you're in, if you're into, when I started off with the couriers, we had to get insurance, we had to get public indemnity, we had to get self-employment, all the different types of insurance, you know. So Charlie and I got together earlier on this year and we decided, how can we help people? You know, so we're utilising our knowledge, experience, our network, and we've built a digital platform in which you're able to get information on how to run all the different social media channels. There's a marketing section there, there's an e-commerce section, there's business intelligence, and there's entrepreneurship. Now, there's loads and loads of good information in there, you know what I mean? And as I says, we like to help people, so we're not charging like a big fee. We charge it in a monthly membership, and you're not tied into any contracts. So, as I says, what we're doing is, as we're going along, we will put more links up. As I says, one of the links that's in there just now is how to register a business and get a business bank account at the same time. And Tide Business Banking is doing that for £15 when Companies House is charging 50. So already there's a bit of value there. Then we've got Grantify, we've partnered with them. So they will then help you find government grants, you know what I mean? So again, that's there. We'll be looking at, you can get business loans to start up loans from the government. So we'll also put that link in there. So yeah, and we'll keep on building on that so that we can keep raising the bar for everyone. As I say, we're building a community of like-minded people, people that's looking to start businesses and looking to move forward with this business. You know, the statistics say within the first 5 years, 95% of the businesses fall by the wayside. We are looking to help people to survive that 5 years and grow and scale their business, not only by the digital products, but by bringing in expert trainers, you know, that you can go and speak to, join their courses and learn, because that's what it's all about. It's about learning, growing and developing, not only your business, but yourself as a person. Yeah, it can be a long way road, and it can be daunting at times, you know. Each one of us has probably been there at some point in life, you know. You try for something, sometimes you fail. You just got to pick yourself back up and think of a different way, you know, reinvent yourself or reinvent the business, and then each time you refine your process, everything gets far easier and far better for you. Has anybody got any questions? Yes?
So that's making it down for different trains.
no mean feat. I'm fascinated by your background and how did you end up doing what you did and you're here today?
Well, I actually met Charlie, who's a co-founder, on one of the other courses, Dealmakers Academy. We hit it off. I ended up going on and I bought a multi-million-pound business. And as I says, we've kept in touch. We've went abroad together. You know, we've went away weekends. We've been on courses together. You know, as I said, we've built up that friendship, that relationship that we could actually move forward. And then, as I says, Charlie and myself both like to help other people. You know, we're passionate about helping other people. You know, so we sat and thought, how can we help people? You know what I mean? And this is what we came up with. You know, as I says, Charlie's the tech guy behind it all. You know, I'm probably the ideas guy. You know, because technically I'm not that good, but as I says, with the AI stuff, I'm probably quite well on with that. You know, from different courses and learning. You know, but as I says, it's just trial and error. It's quite a lot of stuff.
I'm sure people will be very interested to hear your journey, some of the journeys, or if you can share one, because you've gone through a lot of where most people are aspiring to be. You've been there, you know. Well, I'll use you, not me. You know, where people aspire to be, you've gone there already. What should they expect along that journey, and whether it's from a positive or from a feedback correction that they need to be aware of, because many people are looking for multi-million-pound businesses, and we've done that. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's what's that journey look like for somebody who wants to run a multi-million-pound entity? Is he all is cut out to be? So before we get to that, it's what's that mindset look like to be able to achieve? And most people say I want to be a millionaire, but
Yeah.
that's the point. That it's not the destination no more.
No, it's
So is that journey? What's that journey look like?
well, the journey for me started about 8 years ago. I sat and I read a book for the very first time. I should have read it years before, but I never. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And it was a quote that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. So for years and years, probably from my late teens, I always wondered how businesses were bought. You know, and it got to maybe like 5 years ago, and I thought, you know what? I'd seen quite a few different mentors advertising, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to give this a bash. You know, as I says, and through giving it a bash, I ended up probably buying the biggest business in the Dealmakers Academy over the last like 4 or 5 years that I know of, you know, revenue wise. But for me, it was, you don't just need to think about it, you need to set yourself goals and then you need to take action. You know what I mean? Because every time you take action, you're always moving closer and further towards it. You know, so as I says, it's been a fabulous journey. As I says, we've met guys from Holland, Canary Islands. We've been invited over to their houses. You know, live with their families. It's been an enlightening journey over the last like 5 years. You know, as I says, and Charlie and I, we've been in all these different courses, and we're sitting there thinking, we could do that. You know, but for me, I would like to do it on a personal level where it's sort of meet people in person, get networking, because I believe that's where the magic happens, is when people actually meet up and they get to talk to one another. Because online, as much as it's good, it's not as valuable as in person. Because as I says, I would never have met Charlie. You know what I mean? If it was just an online course, you know, we would never have had the chance to talk. You know, it's just another face in the screen. But the fact that I actually got to meet Charlie and meet all the other people that were aspiring to do what I did, then that drove me on further, you know, because people drive each other on. You know, it's human nature. You know, it's competition. You know, and that's exactly the reason I've done what I've done. As I says, I've took a step back at the minute. I've went back to university because I want to learn more, you know, and I want to be able to share that knowledge with people in the future, you know. So I'm doing the business and marketing course. So hopefully in the next 4 or 5 years, I'll get my master's in marketing and I'll be able to help people drive their businesses forward, not just tell them about it, but actually help them, you know, show them the way, because I think that's the world's lacking leaders and people showing people. You know what I mean? It's not information that you can just go and get off the internet. You know, you need to be in amongst like-minded people, because that's what drives people on. You know. Is there any other questions?
Yeah, you talked about failing businesses. How did you manage failing businesses?
Failing businesses, yeah.
So how did you manage yours to keep afloat, and how did you manage scaling?
That's actually a good question. So, the last business that I started, that lasted over 6 years. It was a bit of both. So obviously I started off on the transport side, and then my ex-wife, we just diversified. You know, she was a florist, I was out doing the courier stuff, and I was doing the trucks. And then my wife says, "Oh, I want to do something." So I started her a business, and it took off on a local level. You know, so as I says, I was going out, I was doing my work, I was coming back in, I was getting her supplies, and then I was out doing deliveries for her, and then away back to my work. So it's all about diversifying yourself, because once you hit that ceiling, that glass ceiling, you've got to break through that, you know. And the only way to do that is to diversify, either add more products to your line or find another way to market it, you know. So as I says, it was successful, but I've since folded it just recently because I'm more focused on my university work and starting Founders Lounge Club up. Anybody else?
On to our next section. Is everyone all right? Everyone need their teas and drinks? So we're going to dive into project management now. Introducing QA, forgive me if I'm wrong, Ologun, am I right? So he's a seasoned digital entrepreneur and a creator behind Synergy Career Project Management Company and K90 Channel, a professional YouTube channel where he shares invaluable insights on project management, entrepreneurship, and personal development. With a strong background in tech and project management, Kina is dedicated to helping solo entrepreneurs and startups navigate the challenges and scaling their businesses efficiently. His expertise is not only rooted in professional experience, but also to fostering a supportive community of like-minded individuals striving for success in the digital space. Ladies and gentlemen, Kina, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Kunle Ologun. A bit of background about me. I finished my MBA from the University of East London in 2009, and since then I've gone on to work with top financial service organizations in the UK, from JP Morgan, Canary Wharf, to Lloyds Banking Group, to RBS, Santander, HSBC, Barclays, as a program director. just want to share a quick experience with you before I delve into all of these. When I finished my MBA, I had a recruiter ask me, if you want to work, you said you need a job, what job do you need? And I can assure you, one of the major challenges I faced in my life, in my career, is to choose a career choice of discipline. And I know that there's so many people today that are struggling with what career choice do I go into. To choose a career choice of discipline could be a very, very daunting task. And at that time, I told the recruiter, I just finished my master's in business administration. I'm not sure of what. And then I came into contact with a friend who introduced me to project management, and I went for a training, and the training that I've been then since offering to a lot of people, over 200 people getting job now. And then after that training, I had to take a number of decisions, as the previous speakers have said. You have to take a decision. I said to myself, after my life in the UK, this career path was next for me. And you know what that means. I put in everything. I took it as 9 to 5 job. Now, getting up in the morning, getting on the computer, applying for jobs, recruiters calling you, picking the calls and responding, and then getting a number of, being put forward for a number of roles. And from there, a couple of days later, you're going to get back, the recruiter will call you, oh, I've got a good news for you. The CV I put forward in front of the hiring manager, the manager would like to see you for an interview. And then I started attending interviews, and then JP Morgan came calling, Lloyds Bank, RBS, Santander, HSBC, Barclays. A lot of people have said a number of things today, which are very, very, I can relate with, they resonate with me, I can relate with those. But what I'm taking you today is what we are all familiar with in our lives. We have, at one point or the other of our lives, done projects in our individual lives. Either you want to study for a certain period, you have, timeline, if it's a year, if it's 4 years, 5 years, you've got a budget, which is, you want to pay the school fees, and you've got a number of tasks that will then enable that major milestone of you completing the studies. So that is project management at glance. And the beauty of this is we can see in every part of the world, not just here in the UK, that project is going on every day. Constructions, in financial services, there's so many projects that are being run. The regulators are chasing the banks. If they don't do those projects, the regulator will find them, advanced media coverage, and the number of, they lose trust in, customers lose trust in them. So there's so many projects, and you can work in any field with this. And also you can set yourself up and use these processes professionally to become a professional project management, person or organization. Depends on what you want. So without saying so much on that, so we're looking at a project, program, and portfolio. So in a simple term, I'm going to give you a definition of project according to Prince 2. I've done Prince 2. So Prince 2 defined project as a temporary organization that is set up for the purpose of delivering one or more business products according to an agreed business case. I understand the number of people in the room might not be able to put that together, but what that is simply saying is that as a project is a temporary organization. It will have a start or finish date. It's not permanent. You have certain period that you want to deliver it, and once you deliver it, you go live. You move to the BAU, which is business as usual, running that project. And then in a professional world, there will be business case. That is, you have to justify why you want to do the project, the cost, the timeline it will cost before the sponsors will approve it. Those are business environments, which I'm not going to go too much into. I don't want to scare everyone away. So project is simply one project. Program is multiple projects. makes up a program, and multiple related programs makes up a portfolio. When you talk of projects, these 6 areas, they are everything you need to deliver a project. I have simplified it, and I've taken this probably 6, 7 years now. All my students, I've taken them time and time again. Over 200 students have taken my course. They've gone on to start working with top organizations in the UK, and they are coming back with a lot of testimonies. These are the areas. I have been in the industry now for over 14 years, and there's nothing outside of this. Trust me. I have decided to simplify it. So what this is simply saying is we have a project we are running. We have a plan. Once you have a plan, it is called milestone planning process. Once you have a plan, in that plan, all other things tied up to that plan. As a professional, I still do this every day at home. I plan at the beginning of every year, I create a project plan at home on my finances, all the things I want to do for the year, investment and everything, and start tracking the progress throughout the year. And I will constantly review it. It's everything here that you are looking at here. So when you have a plan, think about this. If you are constructing a house in the UK and you have a plan, and there is a project manager that has come to you as the sponsor and said, how do you want your project to run? How many bedrooms will you want in the construction of this property? For instance, do you need some, swimming pool and things like that? All of this will be detailed in the plan. And the project manager will have told you that, okay, this will take this period of time to deliver. And then in that plan, the last item on there will be the milestone. That is what will be delivered. A good example, the foundation complete milestone, the lintel complete, or the roofing of the house complete. Those are the major milestones. And in that plan, tied to the resources that will be working on that project, you need to start thinking of who are the key resources to hire to work on the project. If you are working in building a house, do you need, the carpenters, the bricklayers, a lot of other handymen will have to come in. The project manager will have told you that. And in that same plan, the project manager will be telling you that there might be a number of risks associated with it. And that's where we have the RAID process. So when you see RAID, it simply means risk, assumption, issue, and dependency. In every project you come across this, all the top banks in the UK, they must have a RAID on their plan. Otherwise, when regulators visit them and say, where is your RAID log? That is your risk log, your assumption log, your issue log. It's in an Excel spreadsheet. Or dependency log, where is it? How do you track your risk throughout the delivery of your project? The Financial Conduct Authority, the Bank of England, the PRA, Prudential Regulatory Authority, they visit my bank. I speak to them about this time and time again in the last 14 years. So you have to explain what the prime manager must say to you as the sponsor, what risk your project is carrying. So you continue to track that risk. An assumption is usually at the beginning of the project, and then any issue identified or dependency. Remember, this is not a full course that we are having. So I've got just 20 minutes, so I've got to scan through this quickly. So, and then you've got the change control. So in the plan, whenever the project manager is stuck with anything and say, okay, this date that you are expecting this item to be complete, we are not likely to meet that deadline because of a challenge around the risk that might have been raised. It is expected that because funding has been released for that project to fly, the project manager cannot just go away and make a change to the date because you are already expecting your delivery date. A good example, you might have planned a launch date for the completion of your property, and the project manager went and changed the date without your consent. As the sponsor, you need to know when a date will be changing. And if any date will be changing, there has to be what is known as a change control process. That is, a form will be completed by the project manager who is working on that,
and tell you that because this foundation complete or roofing complete or the last milestone on this plan will not be completed on this day, we are now seeking permission to move this date out. And remember, there are key drivers of changes to a plan. We have time, cost, quality, scope, and benefit. If any of this will be changing throughout the life of a project, the project manager must raise a change request. Time, cost, quality, scope, and benefit. All these key drivers will trigger a change request. And then moving on, we have what is known as a stage gate. If the project manager completes the stage of that project, the expectation is that the project manager will bring it to you as the sponsor and say, this is what we have completed. Are you happy with it before we move to the next stage? You don't want the entire building to be completed. And then they call you as the sponsor, you come and review and say, oh, shouldn't have put the foundation here. You don't want to demolish the whole house at that point. But once the foundation is complete, you should review it. Whatever changes you want to make, you can quickly make it there and there. That's where we have agile approach coming in. And I'm not going to go too much into that as well. So that's stage gate process. And then status reporting. The expectation is that throughout the life of the project, the project manager should be reporting back to the sponsor to give an update on the progress. That's where risks and issues are flagged as well. That's where any challenges will be flagged. Go for it.
Is that KPIs then, number 6?
What is that?
KPIs, number 6?
KPI.
Yeah.
Key performance indicator. Yeah, it has to be included as well. That's the expectation. That has to be tracked. That is part of the benefit. Right. Very, very important. Yes, so status reporting, you have to continue to update the sponsor throughout the life of the project. And then this is everything I have just spoken about at glance. Look at the governance, you have to establish that, continue to improve that. And then planning, there has to be a number of milestones tracked. There will be critical path dependencies. And then your resource management, the project manager will forecast the amount of resources required to deliver the project. It could change. So that is why you have that plan. And then we've got RAID, and then the change control and the reporting I've just talked about. This is waterfall approach in terms of life cycle. So in project management world, there are 3 types of methodologies to deliver a project. 1, you can use an agile approach. 2, you can use waterfall approach. And 3, you can use Prince2. Unfortunately, many people today, they don't understand what it means when they go and try to do prayer management courses and they quickly go and sit for a Prince2 exam or an agile exam. To be honest, it's lack of knowledge. Unfortunately, it's gap. It's because you're only dealing with one aspect of the entire project management. You can't go and learn agile and you want to run for Barclays. No way. You cannot just go and run Prince2 and you want to run for Barclays or HSBC. I've been there for about 14 years. We're not going to hire you. I have hired many, many candidates. I'm not looking for that in an interview. So, unfortunately, a lot of people don't know. But what we do recently in these top banks is we have decided to adopt these 2 methodologies called combination of waterfall and agile, because some projects run easily with waterfall, while some run easily with agile. So we decided to combine both, but we don't use Prince2 anymore. And I'm just going to say this before I go into the last part. This might be a really good information for anyone in the room. A lot of people have wondered, I've been asked during my training, how do projects start? What do you mean? What is project? You're working for top banks. What did you do? Let me just give you a good example of how it starts. This could go a long way, helping your knowledge. Most of the banks that I work for is because they have a problem. So how it starts is, I'll give you a good example. I'm a financial crime expert. The regulator will visit a top bank in the UK, in this case, Financial Conduct Authority, the Bank of England, or PRA, Prudential Regulatory Authority. And once they visit this bank, they said, we want to come and review your money laundering process. We want to make sure customers are not laundering money through you. So the regulator will book an appointment, they will come in, 6 of them, oftentimes a lot of them. It's always a serious time within the bank, and they see, and the first line of defense, second line of defense, they start taking the regulators through all of these systems, processes, and procedures. And the regulator will find loopholes. There could be transactions that are not being tracked. There's what we call red flag. It's not being flagged. And when a question is asked, there could not be an answer. And the regulator will be concerned that, we've had top banks, I'm sure you've been reading in the news, HSBC fined this X amount of millions of pounds, those are how it starts. So the regulator will then say to them that, okay, we have found loopholes in your money laundering process. We need you to remediate. We call it Section 166. So we will be coming back in 2 years. These are the recommendations. It could be up to 60 pages of Word documents. If you don't remediate, we will fine you, we give you advanced media coverage, and we're going to put you out there. Customer will lose trust in your business. And then they leave. And the head of, the CEO will quickly, we have to do project. And next thing is, once the CEO come around, contact the head of the program and say, we need to do projects now. It's a financial crime program. I have been in one that when I go in, I asked the head of the CEO, my director, that what is the project we are running with? And he said it's an open budget. If this is not done, it's a regulatory requirement. It's really, really dangerous for the bank. So once the head of the program office is hired, I will be contacted. We need your expertise. Can you come in? So once I come in, I ask, what is the problem? I review all of these processes, all of these recommendations from FCA, and I build all of those into milestones and say, okay, we are delivering in 2 years. I start working backward. And that's my plan. And then I bring in project managers and hire all my team. I set up the program office and start delivering. I've delivered a lot for top banks in the UK. So that's how the project starts. In terms of me, that's my contact, Kunle Hologun. I run a PMO training for new starters. A lot of people came into the country. These are graduates from different parts of the world. Unfortunately, the lack of information has resulted in a number of these people doing all kinds of jobs that they think they can pick up. But once they are referred to me, I teach them how to get your feet through the door. And a lot of my friends, they have gone on to start working in top banks in the UK, NHS, British Gas, any organization. It's very simple. It's because they don't have the information. I started there and talk about what the co-founder, president said, Mr. Charlie, that remember, your challenge is not for you alone, it's for others. And I want to leave you with this word that says, there will be challenges on the path, on your path. There will be a rough road, but please, you should know that hard work pays off a lot. Make sure that you are upright, you are steadfast, you continue to do what you think is right, and don't give up until your victory is won. So in terms of my YouTube channel, today I interview a lot of people on YouTube. I've got so many videos on best ways to answer interview questions, and I just want to give back to the community and see how much people I can help. Like the founders have said earlier, I love helping people. For me, the definition of success is not the amount of houses I have, the amount of cars I have, or the amount of lives that I have impacted positively. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was a good one, innit? Perfect. Thank you very much. Now, demystifying VC. Just to introduce you to Andy. He's a lovely guy for the macho. Sorry. Andy is an investor in businesses that close gaps within society and for the planet. He's also the founder of Angel Investing School. He has lived across 3 continents, receiving numerous awards and experience being a founder, growing, scaling up, and consulting large corporations. He understands what is needed to deliver results at each stage of business growth. Over a decade ago, he co-founded Mixtape Madness. Trust me, I know, I grew up with that. And then grew his career with product management, with startups such as World First acquiring $700 million by Ant Financial to Series C. Startup Zillich, where he has head of product management in 2018 and was management director of a US-based VC firm, Backstage Capital, where he raised $2 million to deploy into underrepresented backgrounds. Without further ado, Andy.
Introduce me like I'm 65. I'm going to sit down. I feel at home. I feel like there's an intimate audience, so I'm going to sit amongst you. Sorry, I've got to do there, Laura. Apologies. I'll do a bit of an introduction just to kind of overlay who I am, why I'm here, and what I want to talk about. I don't just want to talk about VC and angel investing. I want to talk a little bit more about the investor mindset and the founder mindset. So, along the last 20 years, I've bootstrapped companies like Mixtape Madness, grew to several million. My brother still runs the state 20 years later. It's the same test of time, survived COVID. I've also run a business today called the Angel Investing School, where I train senior professionals globally on how to get started investing in startups. We've got an open education platform which is free online, where anyone can go on and learn how to fundraise from angels or how to become an angel investor yourself. We've trained thousands of people through that process. An example of that, one of our case studies is I trained the top 100 black executives at Google or Alphabet and helped them form a group called the Black Angel Group. They've invested $8 million in the last 3 years into over 30 startups. That's an example of the kind of work I do today. I've invested as an angel investor into 17 different startups, valued at over $500 million in valuation, a range of different industries, but all of them really focused on solving problems around climate change in the planet or society broader. Before that, I've also been a leadership development consultant. So I work in really large companies like Nando's, Uber, Tesco, with their C-suite and directors all around developing their people and creating environments where everyone can bring their difference. So that's kind of like my day-to-day consulting opportunities. And today I really want to focus on kind of like the lessons that I've learned along the founder journey and as an investor and as a bootstrapped business owner, and why I think it'll be valuable to you. And then we can get into a bit more of a conversation, as it were. So just as a show of hands, how many people here are looking to fundraise in the next 12 months? Okay, so not too many. It sounds like we're talking to. And how many people here bootstrap their businesses? Okay. How many people are actually founders here? Okay. What are you two?
Yeah.
Alright, nice. So I think one of the first adages I'll share is ideas are overrated and execution is undervalued. So what I mean by that is, like, it's very easy to have ideas. There's a graveyard of great ideas, you know. And a lot of people sometimes start with the wrong motive when starting a business. I hate my job. I want to be my own boss. Maybe you should get a new job. Like, starting a business is a lot harder than 9 to 5, right? So when I speak to founders, and I'm often trying to find out a little bit more about their origin stories, the reason is because I want to understand how deep-rooted is the problem that they're trying to solve, and how well-suited are they to solving that problem. So now I'm introducing you to an investor mindset. So when I'm speaking to you and I'm asking you questions, I'm trying to really understand, like, given your lived experience, not the job you did or the title of what you were, like a marketing chief, your lived experience, why are you well so suited to start this business? And if it doesn't make sense, if it doesn't add up, then it becomes really difficult for me to empathize and connect with you, to feel like you're the right person to to solve this problem, and I understand exactly why you're solving this problem right now. It really matters. So if you can't answer that question for yourself, you will never have conviction when speaking to an investor and trying to share that question with them as well. Yeah, is it making sense what I'm sharing? Yeah. Good. So I spent some time in 2015 in San Francisco. I was working for a business called Elixir. I was a management consultancy, and I was flying out companies from Africa and the UK out to San Francisco for these emerging technology tools. At the time, we were teaching them and showing them like drone delivery pilots, introducing them to AI and machine learning and what it can do for their company. This is in 2015, by the way, right? So way before OpenAI. And these companies, after a week, would decide on which portfolio startups they want to work with, and would run something called proof of concepts, where I would run like a rapid prototype type an agile process with them of, can this company work with this startup? And in a week's time, let's get to a decision as to whether we want to procure services from these startups or not. The VCs and the venture capitalists and the startups loved it in San Francisco because it's an international badge of honor. I've got some international clients, so I can grow into that country now. The companies loved it because they got to learn from entrepreneurs and learn from the epicenter of innovation in the world, right? So that turned into a really big business actually, and that consultancy ended up listing on the alternative investment market, right? So we had very wealthy founders, the business there. But actually what it introduced me to was a mindset that was completely different to here in the UK. In the UK, we have a very British culture, very conservative. We don't like sharing ideas. We often ask, can we put an NDA in front of someone because I'm not too sure they're going to steal my idea if I share it with them, or really overthinking it. But in America, it's very different. We talked about friend NDAs. Like the mentality there and the conversations there taught me how to think 10x and not 10%. And when I speak to London founders, I find that they think small naturally. They struggle to think big because London is their world and they can't think globally. So it's difficult for them to think about, how do I get my products, not into the hands of my friends or into my community, but into Brazil, into Nigeria, into the US. It's a very difficult thing for them to think about. Whereas in America, they've got this philosophy that's embedded, ingrained in them called the American dream. And I believe that anyone can go from nothing to something. They've got a very much more commercial mindset as a result of that. So when I was meeting up with the VCs in America, Andreessen Horowitz and the Sequoias and the Greylock partners, 90% of the people that I met were either ex-entrepreneurs themselves before investing, they were risk takers, or they were ex-salespeople, like managing directors that have gone through sales journeys. So again, their appetite for risk was large. And that's why it's no surprise that so many great consumer businesses come out of America. Snapchat, Google, YouTube, eBay, Airbnb, because they've got an environment that fosters that type of risk. Whereas in Europe, when I look at a lot of the venture capitalists, Alderton, you may not know these names, right? But a lot of them came from investment banking backgrounds. And in investment banking, the mindset is that I'm taking calculated risks off Excel. Which is very different to this industry, which is all about taking outlier risks in the hope that I'm going to make outlier returns. That's why it's very rare for us to get a Spotify out of Europe. There's not many. Right? If we look at even the economics of the success stories in Europe versus America, we've had not even one actually, 100 billion euro company in Europe, not one in the last 50 years. In America, we've had 6 trillion euro companies. Can you see the gulf in terms of the gap when it talks about innovating globally? And America are chief exports of globalization, whether it's sports, right? Serena Williams, Michael Jordan, whether it's brands, Nike, whether it's even TV shows and entertainment, Netflix, right? So you start to understand the gap between the mindset in America and the accessibility to go global versus the mindset here in the UK. I'm not sharing this actually as a dampener, but I'm sharing it because I want you to be inspired and to think, actually, how do I raise my aspirations and how do I think bigger about the problems that I'm solving? How do I think bigger about the audiences that I'm serving? How do I think bigger, and we're going to go into this when Laura speaks, about how I reach people and more people globally? We need to kind of tweak that mindset in order to deliver that result. That's the only way we flip that quote that I said at the beginning around ideas being overrated and execution being undervalued. Am I losing everyone, or is everyone with me?
I'm with you.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Another thing that's really important on this entrepreneurial journey is the most impressive entrepreneurs that I've met in the last 20 years have this continuous learning mindset. I see that even in the question that you're asking, Sam, and the way that you're taking notes. it's analytical, but what happens there in 6 months of you continue to do that, you compound your learning, you exponentially learn. You become great at marketing, great at HR, great at hiring people, great at retaining people, great at finance, great at all of the things that you need to do when you're a first-time founder. Because you haven't got the resources or the budget to hire all these resources. So you need to be quite good as a generalist. It's actually where your project management kind of presentation really comes in. Actually, how do I manage it all, given my limited bandwidth? The truth is, you have to become really ruthless at prioritization. It doesn't come naturally to a lot of us. How do I focus on the most important things and focus on that every week? Because the compound impact of that is going to lead me to executing exactly what I should be doing. But how do I ruthlessly prioritize when I don't even know what to prioritize on? The answer and the secret is on spending time with customers early and often. Customers are your differentiation. When you're small, the advantage that you have is that you can do things that don't scale. How do I speak to customers every day and understand their stories, understand the context of their problem, understand where they're using my solution, understand why they're using competitors, understanding why they're switching from those competitors to use what I'm selling into them. It's hard to do that once you scale up. While you're small, you can be intimate and you can form that relationship. So right, even what they're doing here with the Founders Hub, if I'm starting a membership, I want to understand every single member that joins until I can't do that anymore because we're growing too big. With the Angel Investor School, when I started that business, I sent out a tweet. I said along with this tweet that, you know, it's really opaque and it's really difficult to understand how angel investing works or how founders can find angel investors. People really liked it. Off the back of that tweet, I said another tweet to say, you know what, I've got a few friends in my network who are angel investors, so I'm going to organize a course. I put a really embarrassing looking PDF with 6 boxes and 6 modules. Looking back at it today, I'm so embarrassed at what I put out, but I should be. That's the secret of founder. Right? I put it out there in this tweet thread, people started liking it, and then I put a link at the bottom to an Airtable form to register. If you're interested in this, register. And about 63 people registered, and I had that oh shit moment, I've got to do something about this now. People are actually showing interest. So I said, all right, if they're really serious, let me just put a Stripe link and see if people will pay £300 for a ticket. People are paying. They don't even know me, half of these people. Oh shit, I really have to follow through on this now. So now that people are paying for it, I've got about 17 people in this course gonna have to deliver it. Let me get a Slack community set up, let me get a Zoom set up, and let me just put these calendar invites for 6 weeks in a row and deliver an incredible experience. And before I did that, I said, let me map out what a 1-star experience would look like. And let me map out what an 11-star experience could look like. All right, I couldn't quite afford the 11-star, but maybe let me settle at 8-star. And I delivered every week. Value, 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 value. And I asked for feedback every single session. At the end of the session, like how confident were they about investing? What was their experience with investing? And actually, how did they find the class? Would they recommend this teacher to someone they knew? And at the end of the course, I had an end of course feedback form. And long story short, the feedback was brilliant. So I ran it again and again, and today we've trained over 1,000 people that started with that I don't share it for the applause actually, I share it because what I just shared with you is what we call the minimal viable product. It was scrappy, it was embarrassing, it was not even in comparison to the experience that I provide today. But actually that's what is necessary at the beginning to get going and to build momentum. And the truth is, that momentum that you build at the beginning is actually less about the product and more about your self-esteem and your confidence. It's that validation loop to know that actually I'm not crazy. Actually, people value what I'm putting out into the world. Actually, I want to do more of that. Does that make sense? And all of us need that. It's a human experience. We all need to connect with people, and we all need that confidence to feel like what I'm doing is of value to someone, and I'm getting feedback to remind me that it's of value to someone. So as you go on this entrepreneurship journey, it's as much about your mindset and your approach as actually doing the thing, right? The next thing that I want to share about is stories. So Steve Jobs was an incredible storyteller. And he would stand up on stage at one of his conferences and he'll say, hey, I'm introducing you to the newest Mac, and it's the world's thinnest laptop. It's as thin as a pencil. In that 10 seconds, he's a genius. He didn't say it's 6.33 millimeters. He didn't make it unrelatable to you. He said it's as thin as a pencil, but guess what? Not as thin how thin a pencil is. That is genius level marketing and implanting in your head exactly what my product benefit is. You're going to get a thin laptop that's as thin as a pencil. Then in one of his adverts, he had this manila envelope. You know, manila envelopes are the office envelopes. They're the brown ones. They're for the office worker. And in the advert, you just hear this music. La 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 la. Type of music that makes you smile, upbeat. I saw somebody smiling, hearing me singing with my terrible voice, and then he just pulls out in the advert. Just pulls out the laptop out of that envelope. Genius level marketing again. You can see how thin it is because it fits in the envelope. Why didn't he just use a white envelope? Why is he using manila? He's talking to the business consumer that he's trying to aim at. We want you, the creative, you, the business person, to buy this laptop. That's why we're pulling it out of this envelope. What he's doing there is he's extending that origin story of this product to this product story that connects to the consumer. With no words in the advert. Just someone pulling it out of that manila envelope and the fact that it's a manila envelope. Right? So all of you need to understand like the skill set that I undervalue that I need to level up is my ability to storytell. And it actually starts with your origin story. Like what is your background in your context? What is the story as to why you're starting this business? The Mixtape Madness was my first business. It was an online music discovery tool for UK kind of urban music. Okay, 20 years ago, so pre-Spotify, pre-iTunes, there was a world before those two existed, right? When I was starting that business, I was a lover of this music. I grew up on this music, but I couldn't rap and I couldn't make beats. But I loved business. So I'm like, I'm gonna create a platform online because to find this music was a horrendous experience. I'd go onto a MySpace, onto a dodgy little forum, onto a janky website, or into a Facebook group. There was no central location online at the time to consume and listen to this music that I loved. And I hated that experience. So I went around universities and after parties at 2 a.m. in Luton, in Kingston, in Brunel, I'd tell people about this website that I want to build. And it just had a one-page landing page and it had pictures of these mixtapes in the background and it just had a space for your name and your email address. I did that for about 3 months with my brother and a few friends and collected 300 email addresses. Oh shit, now I've got the email addresses, we're gonna have to do something. Alright, who knows how to code? I'm not great at it, but HTML we can kind of learn. Alright, let's figure out how to do HTML. And we started scraping the internet for mixtapes, so we uploaded about 600 mixtapes initially. Alright, now we've uploaded mixtapes and we've got 300 email addresses, we're gonna have to do something about it. Alright, let's launch an initial version of the site where they can listen to this music and actually they can download some of this music. It's pretty illegal at the time actually. To release this website, oh shit moment again. There's so many people coming on the website, it's dropped off, we've lost bandwidth, people are tweeting, oh, Mixtape Madness has gone down again, what's happened, we hate this. And we're celebrating, we're like, yes, they love us, they love us, wow, they love us. They're complaining that we've gone down, which means that we are a utility in their life, which means that we've got product market fit with this audience. So we loved when we went down and people were complaining. So then we actually had people that we were serving. So we'd write it back up again. And then we noticed something really unique in that if we had popular artists on our website like Skepta or Dizzy Rascal or Ed Sheeran, we'll attract people to our website. And then we'd recommend the more indie emerging artists so that they could discover these new artists. So we'd upload your mixtapes and your music for free, no problem. But then this long tail of emerging artists would be paying us to upload their music, and that became our initial business model. Then we noticed something called a bro hack, which we didn't have language for at the time. But we edited Wikipedia pages to put backlinks in their pages to our website, Skepta and Dizzy Rascal and Ed Sheeran. So the more famous you got, the more we grew. And we grew to over 700,000 users through just Wikipedia and that growth rate. Can't do that anymore through Wikipedia, but it was a period of time and a window of opportunity. That is what growth hacking is. It's finding those opportunities where I can grow my audience for as cheap, quick, and easy as possible. And as an entrepreneur, you're in the business of finding those opportunities, right? It's a lot easier for me to pay for an audience once I organically know how to reach my audience, right? That's the game that you're in as an entrepreneur. And then we grew that website, grew really big, and then we discovered something happened. Spotify launched, iTunes launched, YouTube was getting big. So we had a decision to make. Do we put our ego aside and grow in those audiences, or do you continue to build this iron tower where we want people to come to us? The smart thing to do is to follow the customer. So you start building meaningful audiences on YouTube, 1 million subscribers. Spotify, 1 million subscribers to our playlists. Like Apple iTunes doesn't really work the same way. What happened is we grew where the audience's attention was. We knew that their attention was going there, so we had to grow through those platforms where they were. And that's another really important trait for an entrepreneur. Actually, where is your audience's attention online and offline? Because that's how you're going to grow to reach them. What are the communities that they hang out in? What are the little geeky Discord groups that they're in? What are the forums that they're in? Go and hang out there, go and add value for free and keep giving. it'll be a lot easier to convert them to come over to your communities, right? I'm giving you tactical insight here. This is value. Yeah? Good. Yeah, when it comes to fundraising, it's a very unpopular opinion and investors don't usually share this. But 90% of entrepreneurs undervalue their businesses. The reason I say that is because they often give away too much equity too early on. If you truly believed in the future value of what you were building, why would you give away so much equity early on? Because I've seen entrepreneurs that have sold their businesses for 20 million versus entrepreneurs that have sold their businesses for $500 million. And the person that sold for 20 million walked away with more than the person that sold for $500 million. The reason is because that founder that sold for $500 million had been so diluted because they kept on fundraising, which meant they kept on giving away equity each round of fundraising to different investors. So as a result of it, they were left with 5% equity sometimes, right? So guess what happens when they sold their business? Their debt gets paid, their investors get paid. Some of them have something called a liquidation preference, which means I don't just get paid what I invested, I also get paid 1.5x what I invested, because that's the terms that you agreed with when you took my money. And then you get what's remaining after that based on your 5% equity. Versus this founder that has 90% equity, they only got a few angel investors on board, and therefore kept a lot more than this co-founder did. You're not going to learn this stuff on ChatGPT or in Google. This is only going to come from knowing investors, right? The other thing that people don't realize is that anyone that's high net worth has the potential to be an angel investor for you. If you've worked in a career for a few different big organizations, let's say Microsoft or even British Gas, or actually directors in that business, the people that you had relationships with who have now progressed and been promoted, they may not have ever angel invested before, but because they like you and they believe in you and they want to back you, they may be able to unlock a 5K check or a 10K check to invest in your business. Again, what that really does is it builds momentum, builds your self-esteem and confidence, and allows you to feel like you've got people that believe in what you're doing. Another side that I really love of entrepreneurs is when they inspire followership. When I start a business and, my angel investing school, I had someone who left Google and joined me on that journey. You know how incredible that feeling is? That you could be an entrepreneur, or you could go to an Amazon or to a Microsoft, but you're deciding to follow me and join my business. That's an incredible thing for the investors to see, your inspiring followership. That means there's something about you. There must be something about you that they're willing to follow you through the fire in this crazy journey where 95% of businesses fail, but yet they want to join you in this journey. What does that say about your leadership capability? Right? So think about these kind of things when you're thinking about this journey of an entrepreneur, whether you fundraise or not. Actually, how are you thinking at this level of depth around the businesses that you're building? Look, I'm conscious of time, and I know there's another speaker to come on, but I don't want to see if there's any questions before I kind of close and go on to the next speaker. Does anyone have any questions?
One question, Randy.
I'm not surprised, sir.
Brilliant chat, thank you. You spoke a bit, you've worked on both sides of the pond, and there is a different culture in what I see in my experience. As a would-be entrepreneur, I'm not an entrepreneur yet until I'm wealth creating and providing for other people, I don't think. But with regards, I've got a small startup. I'm looking to do pre-seed round, and the little that I know is that the investors that are going to invest are going to want to exit to realise their upside, which is fair enough. I get that, but I don't want to be a person who goes into a business with a short-minded, small-minded attitude that I only want to grow it for X amount of time before realising that objective for the investors. I'm benevolent to my investors because they're backing me, and I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. But going back to your original point about how we haven't created any reasonably sized businesses in the world compared to America, is that a handicap that we've got in our culture, and how can we change that?
Great question. So first I'm going to explain what Sam asked so that everyone normalizes the information so that everyone understands. Sam is saying that he's not too encouraged about raising money from investors because he doesn't want that short-term mindset of I have to exit the business so they can make a return. Maybe you're thinking about wealth generation, having the business over a longer tenure of time. I just want to explain this first part of the question first. There's 3 ways in which a business typically exits, okay? One way is that you get acquired by a bigger company, yeah? Microsoft, that's not a good example actually, Google bought YouTube, Okay, Facebook bought Instagram. It's an acquisition, it's negative. Arguably, those two examples, they actually exited too early. Those businesses created a lot more value before being acquired for a higher valuation, which would have made even more money for the founders. But that's one type of exit. The second is when you get listed in the public markets. These companies that was mentioned earlier, like Barclays, HSBC, they're all listed, they're publicly available. You can invest in them through Hargreaves and Lansdowne and through Stocks and Shares websites. The private market is where these startups exist, where they're owned by these entrepreneurs and maybe some investors. Okay? So that's that second form of exit, getting listed in the public market. It's actually a rare experience. I'd say less than 1% of businesses get listed in the public markets in the UK. It's not easy to go along that journey, but that's a longer term journey. That is not short term minded. That is a journey you can even continue to run your business after it lists on the public market. I give that example. And the third way, which isn't often spoken about, is something called the secondaries market. And that's where you might get offers as an angel investor, you might get offers by investors down the line to buy your equity off you. So for me as an angel investor, I can sell my equity to a big VC who buys it off me and I've made a return. For founders, it's not so easy, you know, but secondaries is the third way that exits occur. In terms of Europe, the biggest challenge in terms of scaling is that American population size is like 300 million people. Similar culture, same language, different jurisdictions, but in the same land. So scaling across America is 10x easier than scaling across Europe. In the UK, let me tell you some of the barriers. You've got Brexit, thanks very much. The movement of talent now is very difficult across Europe, to attract talent across Europe. We haven't got enough talent in this country, actually, right? The second barrier in Europe is a language one and cultural one. All of these different languages going into Germany, into Italy, into Spain, fragmented. It's not a united European Union, not at all. Right? So it's very difficult to scale across those countries. Imagine translating your site, transcribing your site, and then tailoring it for the local context, and then taking into consideration the legal jurisdiction and what you need to change because of the legality of operating in that region. This is complex and it takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of time. So it slows down your ability to move at pace and scale across that region. Right? So that's why like scaling across Europe versus scaling across America completely different. And depending on the type of business you are, you could arguably ask, am I even starting this business in the right place? Like, should I be starting this business in Africa? Should I be starting this business in America? Depending on the type of business that you're starting, right? So I gave you an example earlier about Google's Moonshot factory, and they call it Google X. And in this team, they work on the future of the internet. And in the next 5 years, they're looking to try and help the next billion people get on the internet. There's 3 billion people currently not on the internet. And in order to do that, they've developed these kind of laser beams on poles that sit on these like poles that transfer internet to each other through light. Very interesting technology. But it works in these remote locations like in Kenya and Pipeline, where in that kind of rural location, it's too expensive to lay like fiber optics. So in that use case, if I wanted to create a company in Africa around growing to the next billion internet users, it makes complete sense to be based in Africa, right? If I want to grow a certain type of consumer business, it might be America that's the best place for me. If I want a certain type of B2B business, then maybe Europe's the right place for me. But it's understanding the different context of different geographies to help you understand where's best for you. Look, I've been told that I'm at time, so even though I enjoy speaking with you all, I'm going to wrap it up there, but I hope that was of value to you. And
Thank you very much. Now that was a lot to deal with. Is everyone okay? Yep. Ready for the last one? Last but not least. Excuse that. Sometimes life happens. So on to the last one, sales and marketing for founders. Just to introduce Laura Burton, who has kindly given her time to be here today. She's a marketing mentor with a proven track record of increasing visibility sales for founders so that they can grow their own personal brand. She is an expert in LinkedIn with over 2.3 million impressions over the last year, over 6 figures in sales in year 1, and an engaged audience of 20,000 people. Without further ado, let's introduce Laura. Energy.
leads onto mine as well, which is good. I love that.
You planned that.
Love it when that happens, yeah.
Bear with me 2 seconds.
That's all right. I don't want to give my slides up, so I've recently rebranded. So. Hopefully it works. And what do I use to move it across?
You can just use the
Perfect. Up and down?
Yeah.
All right. Amazing, thank you. So I am Laura Burton. I'm going to teach you about sales and marketing, even though I've never worked in sales or marketing, which is interesting, right? So, buckle up. I'm going to teach you 5 ways to get leads that I have been using for about 7 years across multiple businesses, modest businesses, and these have never failed me and they've never failed my clients. So you'll probably notice in the online industries right now, there's a lot of business coaches and a lot of business mentors. I've asked some of the business coaches, the biggest ones, what their success rate is, and they usually say about 20 or 30%. My success rate and why I do what I do is 100%. I've never failed to get any business leads, but I stay very close to my founders. And there's a bit of a problem in the industry, the marketing industry right now, with people selling you marketing which doesn't actually work. So I want to break down what's actually working, and I want to tell you why. So let's see this. So what's the biggest problem that founders have? Anyone have any guess?
I would say, going back, I started my business about 15 years ago, you know, you're probably just too operationally in the business. And one of the best things I did was get a fantastic finance manager in, because I'm crap at finance, but I'm better at other stuff. So I think just spreading yourself too thin and not executing it really well. And unless you have sales coming into the company, you don't have a business. So probably
100%. So I meet a lot of founders and their biggest problem is sales from 2 perspectives. They either sit there and say, I don't have enough sales, or I have no sales sometimes, or they say, I've got too many sales, I'm at capacity, I want to scale, I can't take any more people in. So sales is always this huge problem, and it actually unlocks so much in our business. If we have money, we can outsource most things, we can actually grow. If we have too many sales, it can actually stop us in our tracks, it can create a bad reputation. So one of the biggest problems that founders have is sales, and yet when founders sit down in front of me, they usually tell me one of a few different things, right? So they tell me that they don't spend a lot of time on sales, which some of these clients that I have are not making any money, and they're like, you know, I don't really do a lot of selling, don't really do a lot of marketing, which is wild to me. So they tell me they're not actively selling, or they tell me that they don't have enough sales knowledge, they just don't know what to do. And this causes a massive problem for founders. And why I do what I do is because I don't believe that any founder should lay awake at night worrying about money, worrying about sales. And I surveyed, at the start of my journey, lots of different business owners, and all of them said they lay awake at night filled with self-doubt about sales, about whether they would actually make it. And I think this should be the least of your problems, given that sales, there's so much information out there about how to sell, about how to market yourself, and yet this is the biggest problem that every founder seems to be facing. And I just don't think it should be a problem. So I'm a bit of a basic bitch of sales, because I've never worked in sales and marketing. I know a lot of the terms, but I don't need them. And I work with some 6-figure marketing agencies, some 6-figure business coaches, social media managers, copywriters that have already sold in their own right, and they teach people to sell. And yet for some reason they can't grow their business any further. And I believe that marketing has become a little bit too complex. So when you start your business, your digital business, you're going to be thrown all of this advice. People are going to be saying, you need to be running ads, you need to have landing pages, you need to be working on referrals. They're going to give you all of this advice, and they're going to peddle whatever it is that they think that you should be doing to market yourself. And the truth is that every marketing tactic pretty much works if you know how to employ it. But as a founder, like Andy said, typically you are stuck in the operations of your business. You often don't have the sales knowledge. A lot of the billionaires started off in sales. So we already know that you need to learn to sell to actually grow your business. And yet we're thrown all this marketing advice and we don't know what to do with it. Which means that we sit at our computers with this great idea that never goes anywhere because we actually don't know how to sell. This one core skill that we all need. So I take my clients back to basic bitch marketing. which they love, and it works. It always works. So 7 years ago, I started my first business. It was a local business. I was, by day, working in HR, creating presentations for capital investors in a kind of business that was growing really fast, pharmaceutical business. And then by night, I was running a fitness business, and I did it all by ads. And I didn't realise that I was really good at ads, just by accident. I didn't do any training. I built up my business. I wanted to start a fitness app. No idea why. Until I realised that I didn't want to start a fitness app. So that was my first business. Then in COVID, I decided that it would be a good idea to start a skincare business with my partner, who's absolutely adamant. We need a men's skincare business with biodegradable jars, it was really sustainable, let's put 100 grand into this. And we went in on this next business and absolutely loved it. Apart from the fact, the only thing that I loved was the marketing. So he was doing the product development. I was like, babe, you've got to push this, you've got to make this content, we've got to do this, we're going to get PR, we're talking to journalists, all the lovely stuff, the great stuff. Absolutely hate the business. Didn't like it at all. Loved being a founder, loved the marketing, and was very good at it. Was taking all these courses and getting all this feedback about our marketing and the journalists and these grooming gurus, and yet hated the business. And when I started my business, all I really wanted was freedom. So I was working in HR, which is a interesting profession. I was working globally. I worked for Sony Music. I covered 55 markets. I worked for Warhammer, doing people strategy for 20-odd something companies. And all I really wanted was to stop sitting in a room like this every day, typing on a computer, partnering with their CEOs. And I wanted freedom, and I wanted uncapped income potential, and I wanted to be really free. So you know what I thought? You know what? It's just going to be easier if I work for myself. It's not easier to work for yourself. Like, I'm exhausted. I'm on business 3 and I'm dying right now. But I thought it's easier to work for myself. It would be a great time for some blonde jokes now. It's completely naive. And yet this is not unique to me. Everyone thinks so, it's going to be easier. And they really underestimate what it takes to start a business. And they overestimate what it takes to market yourself. How you create marketing opportunities, and we make it way too complex, way too complex. So I thought it was going to be easier. Spoiler alert, it hasn't been. And so I, just in COVID, because as you do, got pregnant, started a business. The year after we started another business, the year after we started another business, we started 2025 with 3 businesses. We've got a pharmaceutical consultancy, I've had a HR consultancy, a skincare business, a local business, and a marketing business. And the only thing I ever wanted to do 10 years ago was start a marketing business. So I did every other thing to learn marketing to get where I am. And we did something crazy by starting all of these businesses. We still have 2 of them, they're very successful. And we have a 3-year-old who doesn't sleep and COVID, and we renovated a house. And, you know what else? Invested in a fintech, because why not? I also helped this fintech get to market, because I believe in the product. It's a HR, like pensions-related benefit for great companies that want to invest and give their employees financially regulated pension advice. Completely new to the market, it's amazing, it's the best thing. So we have all of this on the table in the household, and I thought it was going to be easier, and it actually wasn't. And through this journey of starting all these businesses, partnering with CEOs, working for corporates, I had some major revelations that have helped me to bring all of my clients with me and start making money and market their own businesses. So revelation 1, sales knowledge and action is the key to every successful business. Well, that sounds obvious, right? So why is it that founders sit in front of me and tell me they don't take action, they don't have the knowledge, they're not marketing themselves, they're not even putting it out to their network, they're not even sitting down with their peers and their colleagues and saying, hey, I've started this business, will you back me? Will you invest in me? Will you market this? Will you share this with your network? They just don't do it. So that was revelation 1. Revelation 2 was personal brand is the key to credibility and visibility. So what I have found is every single person that's ever bought anything from me in my whole career, or even hired me, has been based on my personal brand, has been based on my own credibility. So based on this revelation, I decided to grow a LinkedIn following. I've got 21,000 followers, I think, of this week. I'm going to hit 21,000 because I knew my personal brand as a founder was going to be what sells my business. But revelation 3 was that markets are moving too fast and no one can keep up. So I would be posting on Instagram, right, and I'd be like, Reels are the way to go. And then next week it'd be like, no, they're not working, it's carousels now. I would put ads out, and then the next week the ads would stop failing. But like, oh, that sales funnel doesn't work anymore, we're going over here. This is a new funnel, this is what's working. So the markets are moving so fast that regular founders just can't keep up because we're running our business, we're in client delivery, and we're also trying to market ourselves without any knowledge, without the knowledge of being a salesperson or a marketer. And these 3 revelations brought me to realize that not only was I naturally good at marketing and sales, but I needed to bring this to the other people because I can keep up, because I do have the knowledge somehow naturally through these businesses, and I can help people to grow and market themselves. So the answer to all of your problems is sales action, a personal brand, and a simple strategy that never goes out of date, which means that we have to go back to traditional marketing. So I analysed my biggest months in business. Mercy's trying to get in, someone's in the waiting room. So I analysed my biggest months in business, and I found that every time I had a big month in business, I was using multiple lead generation strategies. Not one, multiple. I wasn't just relying on ads. I wasn't just relying on LinkedIn, or I wasn't just relying on speaking. I was using a multifaceted approach. And then when I analysed even further, I realised there were 5 strategies that I was using all of the time. There were 5 strategies that I was using with my clients, and they were all getting results, 100% success rate every single time. Because they were building credibility, authority, and visibility really fast. So I have 2 6-step frameworks in my programs. I have one for scaling and I have one for selling, and these are 3 pillars of how to sell online. So you can have the worst products in the world, and I've witnessed this with some people. If you are credible and someone believes in you and your personal brand, and you are visible and they see your product and you have a connection with them, they will buy it, which is interesting. I've had some clients with the weirdest products and people have bought them. And if you have these 3 things, then you will sell your product. So these are the 3 things I help people to build through LinkedIn. I have a lot of people selling on LinkedIn right now. And when they combine, this is how we create sales. Providing the product is something that naturally people want. So these are the 5 lead generation strategies that I'm teaching right now that I believe everybody should be employing, and they're all free. So if you are in startup mode, if you are trying to grow and you don't have the money to put behind paid advertising and you don't have investment, these are all free to employ, and you can learn them on YouTube quite easily. The first one is email outreach. So I have a 23-year-old called Abby. She was a client, she had no marketing background, and she was a graduated accountant, and she was like, I'm going to start a marketing business. And I'm like, okay, okie dokie, that's good. And she was like, yeah, I want to hit 5K a month, I want to make 60 grand a year. And she did that within 3 months just through email outreach, by targeting local businesses and saying, I can help you with your marketing. And this was a funny thing, she didn't even have a social media following. No account, and she was selling them social media services. And we only did that through personal brands, through credibility, in this email outreach, sending 50 emails every Friday. And in 3 months, she's like, I've made £4,800 and I've got them on a retainer. When I last spoke to her, she was nearly at 10 grand a month. She's 23 years old with no background in marketing. And it all came through just being in the inbox of the right people locally. So a really, really easy strategy that people can use, and it's absolutely free. The next one is this DM strategy. How many of you are on social media platforms and someone's like in the DMs with you and they're like, hi, how are you doing? What are you struggling with? You found that. It's like the most basic question, and they're absolutely trying to sell to you. One of them is me, by the way. And this works. So I built my whole business on Instagram with 300 followers, got to 10K months with 300 followers on Instagram by voice noting people. And I was voice noting the whole world. And now my business is global. I've got clients in the US, I've got clients across Europe as well, never expected it. I've got interest in Australia, and it's all come off the back of me just messaging people, and I predominantly do it on LinkedIn. So I talk to CEOs of big businesses on LinkedIn. I'm not selling them anything, but they connect anyway, and they're like, I just like your content, I know you're not selling anything. Because on LinkedIn, I built this personal brand, so if you do follow me, you will see dating stories of how men seem to leave the relationship and then go marry the next person because they have come out with more qualifications, more money, and better prospects, because I'm a natural developer of people. So I will share the wildest story. Last week I was sharing pictures of me in Dubai, and then the next post will be, this is how you market your business. So I built this personal brand of being a real person and amassed 21,000 people that are now very engaged. Some are CEOs of big companies, some are people just starting out, and I've done all of this through a DM strategy. So if you're starting out and you haven't got clients, and you can't find customers, and you want opportunities and you want investors, LinkedIn is the place to go. You can just start messaging these people and try and get them to start a conversation. This week I was literally sending someone bond jokes. I was like, tell me you have bond jokes. Good to see you. So you can do it. The next thing is a networking strategy. So all of you are here in a room networking, and I sit down with founders and they're like, yeah, I network, I'm known for referrals. I'm like, okay, just give me your pitch when you go to a networking event. Like, tell me what it is. And they're like, yeah, I'm John, got this startup, and yeah, I'm from Nottingham. And then they sit back down. I'm like, way to go, John, that's really going to convince them to buy from you. And I'm like, okay, what are you giving them in the room? When you meet someone who's interested, what are you giving them? They're like, I don't have anything to give them. They don't have a sales funnel. They've not built anything. And I'm like, okay, how are you following up with people? Well, I don't. I'm like, you're spending 3 hours going to these networking events and you're getting nowhere. Why haven't you got a pitch? Why haven't you got a funnel? Why aren't you checking out the people that are going to that event? So I went on LinkedIn, I started looking at the speakers, seeing who I might want to speak to, seeing who I might want to ask questions to. And then I would follow up with those people after. So a lot of people are wasting time in their business, and 3 hours a week is like a lot of time if you're going to a networking event. That's 3 hours you could employ like email outreach. How many emails could you send in 3 hours? So using your time wisely for sales and marketing is really, really important. But also a speaker strategy. Like I'm stood in front of you because Phil sent me a message on LinkedIn and I was like, who's this dodgy guy? Sending me a message. I was like, what does he want? I think I ignored it for a few days. So what's he up to? But that's why I'm here in the room, because he saw my content. I was like, come and speak at this event. Absolutely. And I actually pitch and I teach all of my founders, even with no confidence, no following. I teach them to start pitching their industry advice that they've got, their industry knowledge, who they are, to different events to get them out there. And I start getting people using speaker strategies, because not only does that get you in the room with people who can connect you with maybe big businesses where you can work with their marketing, but it connects you with potential clients as well. And the moment you're a speaker in the room, your networking strategy becomes even easier. So when people see that I'm speaking, what typically happens is I get booked for more speaking. So this weekend I'll talk about this event, and usually by next week someone else will say, come speak here as well. So a speaker strategy as a founder helps you to build your personal brand, which creates more opportunities and finds you clients in the long run. But also content marketing. So like I said, I share dating stories, I share meals that I'm having, I share jokes, I do all kinds of stuff on LinkedIn. I will do anything for followers. And not anything, but I've tested it. Like I posted in Dubai last week and they limited that post, so you're not allowed to swear on LinkedIn apparently. Like they blocked me completely. So what I did was a growth hack. So LinkedIn blocked me with a post, and I was doing yoga on the beach and it did not like that at all. And so the next post that I put out an hour later was LinkedIn's being the skin police. I just posted a really inspiring post on the beach of the Palm. I was staying in a villa in the Palm, and LinkedIn's blocked me. So all of a sudden I got this wave of traffic to my profile, a wave of followers. It's a bit of a growth hack. So I was like, what did she post? What is she up to now? And it wasn't even anything bad. But I use content marketing to be a real person. So on the one hand, I'm sharing every day, you know, my son's been up all night, he's 3. We've got all these businesses in the house, and then the next thing I'm sharing like insane value and YouTube videos and talking about my HR experience working for these big companies. So I use content marketing. I think everybody should be as well. And a lot of people aren't on LinkedIn because they think it's, well, white hair and stale is one of the things that many people say, especially women. They're like, I don't want to go on there. There's ex-colleagues on there, the CEO, I don't want them to see me. But also they don't know what to say. They don't know just to share what's going on in their everyday life. They don't know how to give value. And content marketing has fundamentally built my business. So in the first year of my business, I've been working part-time, 3 days a week, with the other businesses alongside as well, and this fintech, and we hit 140 grand in the first year just by selling marketing services at less than 4 grand a product. So I wasn't even doing much of like the big one-to-one or done for you marketing. I was just educating founders on what they could do with this 100% success rate. And I never expected my business to blow up in the first year or to start working with the US. So now I'm like, come on, let's go to 7 figures. I'm going to use these 5 strategies to get 7 figures. I'm not going to run ads, hopefully, to do all of this organic marketing. So if you are starting a business or growing a business, it's free. All of your marketing is free. But all of this has to run into a problem solver. So if you currently have a business, you need to find out what problem you are solving, and you need to collect people's emails through some kind of problem solver. Mine is my LinkedIn training, so I teach everybody LinkedIn. And all of these strategies, I send people into my LinkedIn training, 7-figure businesses, startups, and it solves a problem for them that they want to get on LinkedIn, and then they go and pay me more because they get to know me. So whatever problem you're solving, you need some kind of problem-solving lead magnet to run these strategies into. Now, if any of you are struggling with your marketing, so this is a whistle-stop tour. This is an example of like all my clients, loads of amazing clients who are reaching their goals. A lot of people don't know how to start the marketing conversation. So all you need to do is DM me the word 6, and I'm going to start talking to you about the 6 steps to selling online and what you're missing. And I can break it down and give you like really key detailed advice straight away, which is why my business works, whether you're selling or whether you're scaling. And if you want to find me on LinkedIn, this is what I look like. It's relatively easy to spot me. But I would love for you to speak to me. I give a lot of free value. So in my first year, I did 163 free marketing calls where I actually broke down people's marketing. So if you need strategy advice, everyone gets a free call in my book. I believe in generosity marketing. And my company is called Brutal. So if you find me on LinkedIn, oh, it's ended. I didn't add the last slide. If you find me on LinkedIn, it'll say Brutal Blonde, who knows a bit about making money online or helping you get clients. Because I'm insanely honest, and I've now branded my company called Brutal, which is No Mercy Marketing Consultancy. And I think we all need a bit of honesty in marketing because it's tough. It's really, really tough. But if you are struggling with marketing, I just invite you to message me, and I will be happy to help you. Any questions? Probably not.
Thank you very much.
I think we're out of time. We're out of time. You can ask me separately.
So we are out of time for questions, but she'll be hanging around in the forecourt. How are we feeling, guys? I know there's a lot to take in. Thank God it's a Friday, isn't it? Yeah. So just to close off with Charlie, just to mention about the BCS membership.
Try not to say too much. Thank you very much for coming today. I know it's a Friday and you taking your time out to come and learn and listen to everybody. My key takeaway from my challenge for each and every one of you is that when you leave here, there's a lot of information to gather and to take on today. We've had Andy, Kunle, Laura, Phil, we've had, and Nujube's gone. So they've all shared some wisdom with you, some knowledge, something from their journey. Yeah? So just all I'm saying to you is take one thing that you can run with. The key thing, and I think Andy mentioned, is take action. Action is so underrated. Take action. There's so many ideas out there. People think, oh, I've got fantastic idea. Take action. To be multi-million-pound organization, you've got to take action. You already mentioned it. I've standing testimony that you've got to take action to be a multi-million-pound. If not, you're just going to keep doing the same thing and doing the same thing. Yeah? So take action. Yeah? And please, if you found value today, do join the BCS Embrace. Go to BCS, join us, and we'd really love to have you on board. We are encouraging more founders to come along on the journey. We're creating a community where founders can come together, share ideas, go on the journey together, collaborate, and it's going to be bright. It's going to be bright. So thank you very much, everybody, for your time. Next door is the 360 Boot Experience by 360 Vibes. There's some refreshments and benefits for yourselves as well. So please enjoy and network and connect, not just network, connect.